This is Cerebro Soul Podcast, the inner dive for those remembering something ancient within themselves. My name is Rain, and it is 11:11 as we begin. A moment many experience as a pause, an opening. Welcome. May we approach this space with gratitude and respect for the land, its first stewards, and one another as we explore inner life. So let us invite clarity, truth, and wisdom, allowing everything else to gently fade away. Hello, brothers and sisters of the light. Welcome to today's episode. Today we are going to focus on knowing yourself, more specifically, what is your body's yes and no. And I think that this is probably a good approach after setting up your sacred space on a first step in diving within. Why? Because it places your awareness in the body. It makes it that you know yourself a little bit more. And for a lot of us, that might sound like a ridiculous thing because it's easy to say yes or no, but you might still not know what your yes and no feels like in your body. Everything is kind of given today very externally. So if you're like, oh yeah, I like this. Oh yeah, I like that. Oh, I'm doing this. So yeah, I like it. But if all of these aspects, external aspects, are taken away, would you still know what your yes and your no feels like without anything given to you? So it's not that knowing your yes and no is like a must in diving within, but I find that a lot of people come to me and they ask me, like, how did I get to a place that I got to? And this is what kind of comes to me as some of the first steps, and through higher guidance too. It was given to me to, that would be a really good step for people to get into. So we're going to talk all about that. And by the end of the episode, my goal is to have you either be inspired to take that on as a personal practice and just literally go practice and see what you get out of it. And if it doesn't resonate, then that's fine. But anyways, so it places awareness in your body, and in general, your yes will always feel like a moment of expansion, and your no will always feel like some sort of collapse. So to elaborate on that, I'll share my personal yes and my personal no and how they've evolved over time. So my yes is a feeling of just taking a deep breath in. Like all of a sudden, like I can breathe. And from that place, it is a feeling of expansion. My no is my body will literally stop breathing. It's like my body holds its breath. And so these are very strong yes and no responses. At the beginning, I would say 9 years ago when I started that practice, my yes was very different. My yes actually felt like a tingling, like almost like a wave of goosebumps all throughout my body. That sometimes still happens, but it has kind of shifted towards just kind of like feeling just like I can breathe. So your yes and your no can shift over time because I have experienced that for me. And it can also evolve to a higher form of expression. So right now, we're really going to focus on what is the response in the body, how does it feel inside the body. But you can have also a yes and no that's targeting your other clairs. So I'm just going to focus on right now, feeling in the body tunes into your clairsentience. So these are abilities that we all have. Clairsentience means basically clear feeling. You're tuned in to how things feel around you, and you can sense them within your body. So sometimes clairsentience, you can literally, when you're doing energy work, or you don't even have to do energy work, but when your awareness is placed more within a divinic realm, a realm of unity consciousness, you become aware that we are all literally breathing the same air, and we are literally all connected through that sacred water that is air. There's water in the air, and we're all connected within and without. So does that mean that you can feel what somebody else is feeling? Yes. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. In fact, we'll get that to an episode where we can kind of help ground some people that are strong empaths. You don't have to suffer in feeling other people's feelings. Anyways, that's a different lesson. But so you can tune in to that connection that we are all part of. So knowing your yes and no on a physical level and how that feels within your body helps you develop your clairsentience. Can you have your yes and no from a clairaudience or a clairvoyant point of view? Yes. I explored that a long time ago, and I still have access to that, where, for example, through my clairvoyance, so that's clear seeing with my mind's eye, I can project the world within and project it without, and actually see a yes or a no. But usually for me, like, my no will be an X and my yes will be a check mark. And then with your clairaudience, you can also do the same thing. You could program that with your guides and just say, I want to hear yes for my yes. I want to hear no for my no. Things like that. But again, the most basic, the most fundamental practice would be to start with the body. Remember, your body is your temple. Your body is your anchor. It's what puts you in the here and now. So it's a good place to start. It will always be a good place to start, knowing how things feel in the body. So yes will feel like an expansion, to come back on that. No will feel like a collapse. But the expansion might express itself differently for every single one of us. For some people, yeah, it'll be like goosebumps. For some people, yes, will feel like a feeling of sudden warmth. So like, or like they're glowing somehow. Or maybe the yes will be just kind of in the sacral region, so around just the belly button, and just this feeling of fullness there. It can literally feel like a tingling on your right knee. It can be that specific. And then a no will again feel like a moment of collapse. So that collapse will feel different for every single person. So it might not be the same as you stop breathing. So for some people, actually, and just also to say, a yes can feel like also heart palpitations. So if you get like just a little flicker here, don't get scared. That might be, if it happens every time that you ask for a yes, that it happens, then that might be your yes. A no can be suddenly feeling cold, just very cold. A no can feel like you're getting stuffed up. A no can feel like a slight pressure in your head, something that's just uncomfortable. A no can feel like, yeah, like a tiny like pinch somewhere. So all feelings that might seem like your body is collapsing, it could be actually also that, you start shrugging your shoulders. All these would contribute to a feeling of collapse. So again, by the end of the episode, we're going to focus on how to tune into that. So it's a good approach and a good form of diving within. And the application is great for life because you can project that yes and no towards your everyday routine. You can ask your body, and it really helps develop that connection with the body for those of us who don't have a really strong connection with the body, perhaps from trauma, perhaps from just being so externally motivated, whatever it is. It just has a really good application in life because you can really tune in to like, oh, I want to eat this right now. And your body will tell you like, no, I really don't want this. Or somebody wants to do something with you, just go see a movie. And then again, you could feel out what your body really wants and what it doesn't. And at some point, it just becomes a really fun game. Yeah, like I use it for like above and beyond in my personal life in knowing what kind of herbal medicine I want to put in my body. I'm at the point that I don't rely on any external factors. I can get advice from people and I welcome it, and sometimes it resonates and sometimes it doesn't. But I like my connection is so strong with my yes and no that my body will literally tell me, this tea right now, this plant is really good for you. And I will listen to that. And some people might say like, oh no, like you shouldn't take that. And it's sorry, but like, that connection with source within is so strong. It's just, I can't, it's undeniable. The practice has been developed and cultivated for so many different years. Sometimes people have questions about, oh, like, should I do this or should I do that? I'm like, so I kind of guide them into, well, how does your body feel about it? Do you feel that expansion? Do you feel that collapse? So again, the applications in life are really good where you just get to project the world within outwards and there's no separation anymore. So sometimes for a lot of us, the yes and the no is not obvious. And some of the reason why could be trauma. For those of us that have been severely psychologically traumatized, physically traumatized, or sexually traumatized, if there's been a form of trauma where your no has been completely ignored and violated, it will be hard, and it is hard in life to understand your boundaries because you have learned in life that your no was not good enough. Your no was never respected. And so that's where it can be a little bit emotional and very healing to do your yes and no practice and to really bridge the gap. For some of us, it could just be that we've been very technologically, how do I want to say, connected. And so we've never really developed an awareness of where things sit in our body, or again, very externally driven or motivated. And so we just don't know how things sit within because, again, there's never been a practice. There's never been a demand for it. There's never been a need for it because everything is given externally. And I think for parents also, it's something to place perhaps a little bit of reflection on when our children ask for things, or actually when we ask something from our children and we don't let them explore and know. That can be also debilitating, where they just never get to be in resistance to you. So let's think about what that could do to a child. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, there's cases where you have to say no to a child if they're about to cross a street or something like that. But, and not let them have a say because they're going to harm themselves. There's other times though when you really do want to let them explore that no, and understand that they get to have that no, and they get to have that yes, and they get to feel empowered with saying a no and a yes. So I want to also mention that the absence of a no is not a yes. When you are going to practice, and even in everyday life, I think this is like the biggest mantra that we can all agree on. The absence of a no will never be a yes. In fact, the absence of a no is usually technically a no. To me, that's still a no. Like, because sometimes somebody needs a really long time to decide, and there should never ever be any assumption that the absence of a no is a yes. So your body might also have that moment of not giving you anything for a long time. Maybe your body doesn't feel safe yet in revealing its no or its yes. Maybe you haven't paid attention to yourself for a long time. This is why this is a practice. And this is why I invite you that if the answer doesn't come right away, and it most likely will not come right away, that you keep practicing until you get it. It's not that it's not there. It's actually there all the time. It's whether or not you are fine-tuning your awareness to it. Sometimes it's also that your yes and no is actually so far away within your auric field. So your aura, your soul is so big. It's connected to everything. It is the part of you that never left the divine. You have that within all of yourselves, right? Your angry self, if you want, your happy self, all the soul is so big. Maybe your yes and your no is so far up there. Like, so practicing will help it kind of come back all the way down into the body. Again, it could just be really far and fractalized away because of trauma. There's so many reasons why something can be happening. So many reasons. There's never one particular reasons. Usually there's like a million different truths that are all working together as to why something is happening. And to keep practicing and building that connection, if your body is a stranger to you, consider how you approach people. Are you an open book right away, or does it take time to really cultivate over a really long time? So the way that you connect with your body might be that for you, it might take a really long time. For other people, it might be just a really quick, like, oh my goodness, like, wow, that's awesome. I got it on the first try. We're not comparing. Everybody's journey is everybody's journey. Because let's say somebody is a quick learner within their spiritual realm or diving within, well, then that same person is really, really bad at social gatherings. And that's where like they need to expand. We're so multidimensional. So let's not play the compare game. And in fact, if somebody that is really struggling with something and then you're getting it right, well, then this is a kind of a place maybe, or an invitation to bridge that gap. So Yeah, and I find that also getting to know your yes and no really opens up self-reflection, because sometimes the mind really convinces you that something is good for you, but your body will give you a very strong no response. And this is a moment to really pause and go, why is this happening? Why is there a gap? Why is my mind and my heart, why are they not working together? Why is there a distortion? And sometimes journaling and having that moment of self-reflection really brings up a lot to the surface. So it really opens up a door of healing. Yeah. I'm just reading my notes, making sure that I'm getting everything. So I think I got all the basic principles of why yes and no. Oh, no, there's one more. There you go. So I'm just going to share a little story. For me, my yes and no was not obvious at all. It took me years to figure out my no. Not just like on where it sits in my body, but just kind of be aware of, oh, this is a no to me. And because going through sexual abuse, again, like my no was taken away. And even though I didn't remember for a really long time, because I had a form of dissociative amnesia from the trauma, I only started remembering actually mid 30s, and working through that denial was years in the making. But just to come back, it took me years to understand my no. It was more for me. So I didn't like hugs. Oh, and by the way, like even though you don't remember a trauma, your body remembers. Everything is stored in the body. The body always remembers. Always. Always. It's stored in the body. The trauma is stored in the body. So even though I did not remember that part of my childhood, my body remembered. So, and this expressed itself in not liking hugs my entire life. And a lot of times, the way that it played out in my 30s is people going like, oh, well, that's silly. That's really silly. Like, let me teach you a hug. It's just because, nobody's given you a proper hug. And I know this was kind of like really like playful for some people, but for me, it was really like this feeling of like claustrophobia, and yes, I was holding my breath, but I wasn't aware that that was a no. It was almost like I had learned through other people that maybe I'm just odd. Maybe I should indeed just practice more until I learn to love hugs. And this is where you can start really gaslighting yourself and just this is what happens with trauma. You don't quite understand your no, and there's a moment of like, maybe I'm just being ridiculous, and you convince yourself because you don't quite respect your no either, because it was never respected for you. And it's not something that you do like consciously. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna harm myself and just ignore my no. You don't, it doesn't click in. You don't get it. It gets completely distorted through layers of, I'm being unreasonable, I'm being difficult, so you interpret your no through an external perspective that was placed on you. And so I never quite understood my no as a no, and I didn't respect it, not because I didn't want to respect it, but I didn't know how. So I think that's important to mention, that for a lot of us, this might be the situation. If this is the case, please, please give yourself tremendous love. Cry it out, scream it out, journal it out, whatever you do, just give yourself some deep, go seek advice, help. You are not alone. Please realize that you are loved beyond compare. You are not alone. And you will get there. You can get to a place of self-empowerment, of sovereignty, of just being so strong that nobody can break that. And it doesn't have to be met with anger. It doesn't have to be met with a deep, like, Gandalf moment of like, you shall not pass. I've had those moments. And grant you, at first, you do have those moments, but then you come back to yourself and it gets all balanced out because you got to express things that you never got to express before. But you can meet people with, oh, that's just not my truth. Do I give hugs to everybody now, even though I'm super comfortable with hugs? No, I actually don't. Some people, I really don't like the energy. And I'd be like, no, sorry, man. I really don't want to give you a hug. Other people, it's just, I get to be selective now. And it's very empowering with how I approach my yes and no. And I don't care, like, because I say it with love, right? No, I'm deeply sorry. I just don't feel like hugging you right now. And if that doesn't resonate or if somebody gets upset, it's just like, if I approach this with love and light, well, then it's just maybe something that somebody else needs to work on. But anyways, so just to share, when you dive within, you get this opportunity, if you want for that to be a place of exploration, where you get to meet guides. You get to meet guides that are there for your highest good and most benevolent light. And so for some of us, we want to go and meet the angels and the archangels. For other ones of us, depending on whether we're within a religious belief system, it might be that you want to go meet some of the deities or different expressions of the divine. And, can you meet, for example, can you tune into Jesus's frequency? I call him Yeshua because I like to use his ancient, the way his name was pronounced, Yeshua. Because that for me, that makes me feel like I'm closer to him. But if you call him Jesus, or if for you want to go and connect with Buddha, you can. But to share that story, that what I went through years ago, I was tuning into the Akashic records. And for those of you that don't know what the Akashic records are, it's this place where everything that has ever happened, everywhere, at any time, is recorded in this giant library. It doesn't even have to be a giant library, but you have, like the internet, you have access to that database from within. And you can go explore, and you can tap into like different aspects of your life if you want to kind of go and recall some of your childhood stuff. You can recall like future. You can recall, some people like to go into past lives, which are really parallel lives, but everything exists there. And I understand for some of us, it's like, well, I don't believe in that. But if you believe that everything exists, like that everything already exists, then that, through your imagination, through your all-seeing eye, when you close your eyes and you dive within, you can tap and tune into that construct, because everything exists and you can go find it. So we're also going into a little bit of like the quantum world, quantum reality, and the fabric of life. But everything is information, and everything already exists. And so you get to tune into that. And I was having so much fun exploring my own Akashic record. And I had a really close friend of mine that had asked me about their Akashic record. And just to specify, for some of you that might not know, the Akashic records are heavily guarded. I mean, heavily guarded. You cannot go read things and you cannot go have access to certain information if it is not allowed. Well, we're talking about like things that are like so high frequency guarded. I don't even know how to explain it, but this is like within the divinic realm. Some information you are not allowed to tune into because you have to go through the experience of it. You have to go through the experience. And it's like a child. You're not going to explain things to a child too early on because, first of all, they might not be able to comprehend. Second of all, that information might actually harm them. And so there are just things that are just not good for your nervous system. It's not for you to know right now or ever in this lifetime. And that is sacred, heavily guarded. I'm just saying. So if some people get like, oh, like, but I don't want my information to be tuned into, don't you worry. We all have literally a big badass guardian that like will Gandalf you. It will kick you out like faster than you know it. Like you shall not pass. Like so you need to literally have the agreement of souls. It's a big thing. But so let's just sacredness is sacredness on all planes of reality, on all levels of truth. Sacredness is sacredness. It cannot be accessed if it doesn't want to be accessed. And even if you think you, let's say, manage to gain access to something that you weren't supposed to get access to, that experience was for a lesson. And trust me, it will be a lesson of humbling, a lesson of understanding why you think you had access to it and what's the harm that could have caused. Anyways, let's not open these doors. But to come back to the story, I was asked to look for something for my friends in their Akashic record. And I felt this feeling of discomfort, but I interpreted that as, oh, I'm just nervous to do something for my friend because I'm very comfortable at this point doing it for myself. But, oh, like this is like another layer of jumping out of my comfort zone. So I interpreted a no response, and it was a strong no response. But because I had not learned my yes and no, for me, it was just, discomfort that I need to work through again because I don't respect my no because I don't know how to understand it. And for me, it led me to a path of actually diving in their Akashic record and getting information that I wasn't supposed to get. But again, that was from my perspective. The real higher truth was that was all supposed to happen for me to gain a lesson out of it. Because afterwards, I actually wasn't feeling well for a couple of days. I was actually feeling really sick to myself. And I didn't understand until I went to go see somebody that I would see occasionally when I had answers, when I had questions and I wanted to understand more about tuning to guidance, and she would help me a lot. And as soon as I went to go see her Soon as I sat on that chair, before even jumping into anything, she looked at me, and just because she had the gift of hearing and seeing and tuning into all her guides for decades already, she just looked at me and went, "Oh, you did a big no." And I went like, "What?" And I already kind of knew what she was talking about, but I was like, "Oh, is it this?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, that was a no." And and you didn't listen to your no. And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't sure." And she's like, "You can't do that. You can't ignore those feelings." She's like, "You're gonna get in big trouble." And you can't again. But please understand that that moment was supposed to happen to bring a big lesson. From that moment on, I understood, and I really started to focus on my yes and no. And it brought so much growth into my life. And so I wanted to share that story because I think when you meet not only guides, but when you do a lot of self-exploration, there's so much to do in the world within. There is so much to do. Again, the Buddhists would call it being a psychonaut, because you're literally going in outer space, but in the world within. Knowing how your anchor, how your temple is reacting to all that is a place of sacredness. It is a good place to start. And I also want to direct everybody to going, if you haven't listened to the Sacred Space episode, to maybe also listen to it, because setting up your sacred space before you even practice your yes and no is a good idea, so that you're really understanding that you're doing things in the light. You are declaring it on a conscious level. You're validating the practice. This is done within the light. I am only inviting the light. If you have other ways of doing sacred space, please, I encourage you to set it up for yourself the way that it resonates, so that if there is anything that feels like it isn't part of the light, you can land on knowing that you have set up your sacred space. You are held, you are loved, you are safe to dive in where you want to. So I think I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about, and now we're just gonna dive into how to do it. And I'm not going to do a meditation or a guidance for you to dive in. I'm just going to explain how I do it and how I instruct people to do it. And then it'll be your job, if it resonates, to go do it. I think the first step is always learning, getting the information, and see how that sits with you. You don't have to go and jump and do the practice right away. I mean, you could sit with this for like even weeks and go like, does that feel right for me? Is this something that I want to explore? Yes or no. Anyways, but yeah, so find a place of comfort. Obviously, if you're starting your practice, really ask yourself, what kind of experience do I want to invite in? If you're practicing at work when you're constantly being stimulated, are you really honoring yourself? Are you really honoring your body? Are you really honoring time to do this? Are you creating, again, a form of sacredness for the practice? So I invite you to really go into a place where there's no noise. And if you want to put music, that's fine, but I would just say like nothing, because you really want to be able to listen and not be distracted by anything at first. Like a place of neutrality would be the best place. And I understand for some of us, lying down might be easier, but I would seriously encourage you not to do that, because the chances of you falling asleep, especially if you don't have enough practice, might be super strong. I was guiding actually someone not long ago about the method of getting to know your yes and no, and we went through all the things that might not be the best thing to do, and they were like, just falling asleep a lot, and I'm like, are you lying on your bed when you do it? It's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, that might be why we associate bed with sleeping. So put a little bit of effort. I would ask you to maybe sit up. If sitting up in a meditation pose is too hard, sit on the couch, sit on a reclining chair. Don't recline so much. Sit, on just any chair. Sit at a tree. Do it outside with a tree. But just, I find being upright at first kind of puts in a little bit of that masculine energy and effort. You want to kind of get a little bit out of your comfort zone. It's not that you can't access that while sleeping. Some of us are really good at staying in that in-between state. Some people call it like a yoga nidra state, where you're not quite awake, but you're not sleeping. You're in that between state. And some of us are able to remember everything in that state. But a lot of us will actually kind of, when pulled out, like they won't remember, or they just fall asleep. And so you will access your yes and no on a soul level, but you will not consciously remember it. And that's when you're going to say, oh my goodness, I fell asleep. It's okay. Your soul got it, but now we need to kind of let that energy come closer and closer. Your awareness come closer and closer and closer to the body. So sit upright. Put in a little bit of effort in your environment, effort within also yourself. And then just calm yourself, focus on your breath a few times, and just really let yourself kind of like feel whatever you're sitting on, like really anchor yourself in, right? We're about to start the practice. You don't have to start it as soon as you sit. Just give yourself a breather. Okay, like I'm doing this. Give yourself a moment, a minute to just really feel comfortable in your body. And then this is when you start. This is a practice where you don't have to close your eyes. You can remain with your eyes open if you want to. I know for some of us, closing our eyes feels way too scary. That's okay. You don't have to close your eyes. You just have to pay attention to your body. And you're going to start with one and really focus on it. And you give yourself a truth. Like whatever your name is, say it and say it out loud. It's always better at first to say things with the spoken word. Does the practice work by conscious thought? So by pulling in conscious thought, when you direct thoughts within and you ask the question within consciously? Yes, but as a beginning practice, I really invite you, because it's not that obvious and you really want to eliminate any form of doubt. Say it externally. My name is Rain. And you listen. You give yourself a good minute. And then you keep saying it. My name is Rain. Whatever your name is, say your name. And then keep going. You give yourself other truths that are undeniable. My favorite color is whatever it is. And it was just, my dog's name is whatever it is. And you keep giving yourself a good minute, sometimes two. If you don't feel anything, or you think you're not feeling anything, or if you're getting too many things at the same time and it keeps fluctuating, you can voice follow-up statements. Show me bigger. Like, I want a stronger yes response. Stronger. Give me a stronger yes response. And come from a place of loving authority, not a place of like fascism, like, show me my, no, like, just let's calm down. But also, like, it's not that, hey, you know, is my name Rain? Are you telling yourself that that's your name, or are you asking yourself a question? You know, so confidence, approaching from a place of sovereignty, because yes, when I was helping someone establish their yes or no, there was a phase when they were asking a question instead of making a statement, when the question was a statement. So please do not ask your body if your name is this, if you already know that your name is this. So confidence, let's eliminate the little, like, you know, hey, hi, hey body. No, okay. My name is Rain. And then you wait for the yes. And then you do the same thing with the no. Give yourself a lie. You know, if you identify as a woman, I am a man, or anything, you know, any lie, just go ahead. And then again, you wait for the no response. And if you don't feel it, show me bigger. Or if you're feeling even too much, if you're sensing like there's just too much going on, you can say like, that's too much. I need you to focus it. Focus it. You are talking, pretend that you're learning how to ride a horse. And there is this bonding period where the horse has to also get to know you and learn to trust you and learn that you are safe and that you are in command, but you're not like this like crazy fascist that's gonna like completely destroy the horse, right? Loving, kindness, let's bridge ourselves and meet ourselves as one. So yeah, it takes time. So again, if you are falling asleep, even when you are sitting up, just don't give up. For some of us, we don't give ourselves any moment throughout the day at all. So when you give yourself even like 2 minutes or 5 minutes of self-reflection, time for yourself, your body, if it's on survival mode, if it is just so used to constant stimulation, if you shut everything down, your body might be going, oh my goodness, they are not doing anything. Time to sleep. It's just because you are so busy throughout the day. So don't take that as an insult. It just means that, wow, you're really not giving yourself enough time to rest, enough time for yourself. And so just keep practicing, keep giving yourself that motivation, and you will get there. Again, it can be like you get it on the first time, you could get it on the first few times. For some people, it's weeks, some people, it's months, but you will get there. Everybody gets there. There is no exception to the rule. I need to state that beyond. You are not an exception to the rule. You have a yes, you have a no. You are not that, like, you're not that unique. I don't want to sound mean, but like everybody is loved. Everybody is loved. Everybody is loved. Even when you don't think you are loved, you are loved. There is nothing wrong with you. You aren't broken. You have a yes, you have a no. You just have to practice until you become aware of it, until your body can trust you. Journal about it. Talk to someone about it. keep practicing, you will get there 100%. So I hope that this episode gives you enough motivation to go and see what it is for you. And I invite you to drop in the comments what your yes and no is. What was your experience? And next episode, I really want to do a fun interview with somebody that I guided through them getting to know their yes and no, and sharing what that experience was for them, because they're still working through it. And I know that they actually have a lot of questions about it, questions that I don't necessarily think about now, because for me it's been a really long time. And so it's good to get those questions from somebody that's still practicing it and still in that dimension, so that those questions can help other people. And I know for some of the questions too, I didn't have an answer. So next episode, I'm going to invite beings of the highest good and most benevolent light to actually come through and give that answer. And I think it's going to bring in a lot of information that we need to hear about that practice. Anyways, everyone, sending you lots and lots of love. Have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. It's time for a deep breath in, allowing anything that resonates to digest within the body, letting it root into the earth. With gratitude for the land that holds us, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a unique expression of the divine self. Thank you for incarnating with our human family here on earth. And thank you for being a reflection of love just by being yourself. You are loved. You are loved. You are loved.